one of many homebrew rigs here. Just looking at the internet, and had the little SDR on, and decided to fire this stuff up on a rainy day and give it a workout, since I haven't run it for a while. Antenna is a fan dipole, 80, 40, and 20, up about 50 feet. Fed with coax, no tuner, resonant antenna, mostly tube radio, so it works, it's trouble-free and seems to work well. W3 Delta Foxtrot from N2DTS. Back at you there, Dan. I'll look at the meter.
Okay. W3DF. Good, Brett. You are super strong here. Playing with the receiver, and even with the AGC on, with this old NC183D, you still overload. When I turn the RF gain up to max with the AGC on, you still overload the receiver. So I have to back off. on the RF gain. I don't think I've ever seen it. I think the only other time I've seen that happen is when I'm on the broadcast band. So anyway, yeah, you got a very nice, I've heard you on here many, many times. In the past. And I don't know if we've ever spoken before. I can check the log the next time I turn it over to you. I don't work a whole lot of AM, but I like to fire the boat anchors up every now and then on AM. I'm using a Viking Ranger 1 here. Let me see. If I turn the audio down a little bit, I think I have it up too high. It's a Ranger 1. It's a restored Ranger. It's basically stock, except for the addition of push-to-talk. And I'm driving it with an external VFO, the Hallicrafter's HA5 VFO. It's a little more stable than the one, the VFO and the Ranger. And the antenna is a off-center fed dipole. It's fed with open wire line, ladder line through a tuner, and it's up 60 feet. I haven't had this Ranger on in a while, so hopefully it's doing okay. The receiver's an old NC183 Delta. I just finished working on this a couple of weeks ago. I had some trouble with it. Transformer went up in smoke, but it overheated, and I had to replace it. I think measurements I took on it kind of indicated that some of the secondary windings in the high voltage section were shorted, because when I checked the voltages from the center tap to each side, there was a large difference between the two halves. And the receiver was drawing about 2 to 3 times more current than it should. So I was able to find a replacement. Had to do some modifications to get it mounted, but I got it in there, and it seems to be working fine now. So I'll keep my fingers crossed. N2DTS, W3DF.
W3DF from N2DTS. Okay, Dan, good copy. Very strong signal. You drifted up about a KC, just to let you know. And modulation looks good on the scope. Ranger sounds pretty good. It's got pretty good penetrating audio. It's very easy to understand and so on, which I appreciate. As the ears get older, it's nice to have normal sounding audio without a lot of low end in it. So yeah, I've heard good things about the 183D. There was a guy on who a long time ago used to sing his praises, and I guess his description was it was probably the best tube receiver he ever came across for AM use. So I know they have a good reputation. I wonder if that transformer ran hot. I'm wondering why it failed. I always am curious as to why something would fail, like a transformer. If it's overloaded or insulation wasn't sufficient, it got wet. Poor construction, the windings too tight, or poor materials. But it seems like a pretty static piece. It's iron core, copper wire, insulated copper wire, some insulation materials between windings and an outer shell. So theoretically, if it doesn't get wet or if it's not driven to overcurrent, if it doesn't get hot, very hot, then why would it fail? I can see some things like capacitors dry out and resistors absorb moisture and change value. Like, you can kind of see a failure mode for them, but a hunk of iron and copper with a little insulation, it seems like it would be a stable thing. So I was wondering if you measured the current draw of one like the B plus and so on. I have a 32V3 here, and they're known to have the low voltage transformers crap out. And this is one I have is probably 54, somewhere in there, and it still has the original parts. The original low voltage transformer used oil filled for the high voltage, which is nice. But I solid stated the transmitter, all the supplies with diodes, and took all the load off of, all the filament load off of the low voltage transformer, which is quite a bit. I think it's a couple of 5R4s, and there's a bias regulator and a low voltage regulator. Maybe there's quite a bit of current. And that transformers run just above room temperature in use. They don't really seem to get any hotter than, a little warmer than room temperature. So that kind of, I assume that's why my transformer is still functional.